Well, we certainly have a few more minutes to address any additional questions or from the audience. Are there any more that anybody's interested in? Yeah, please, Sean.
Dean, are you looking for end-user SMB companies to participate, or are you looking for larger manufacturers to contribute, or are you looking for technology providers to contribute?
Yes. Absolutely. Anyone that's interested in doing collaborative research, we're very interested. So dean.bartles@unh.edu. And I've already have about 30 companies so far that have given me letters saying that, yes, we will definitely come to a meeting to understand what this is all about. So it's not a letter of commitment saying, yeah, we're going to join $50,000, but it's a letter saying, we'll come, hear you guys out, and then, it's an area that we're very interested in, but maybe we'll see.
Okay, any other questions? Or
Yep.
I have a few myself.
I have just one, Dean. What do you think about the MT Connect? I see that you're using MT Connect for the...
So the question is, what do you think about the MT Connect standard?
So I'm a little biased. I apologize. I've been on the MT Connect Institute Board of Directors ever since it started, and I still am on the board. So I love MT Connect. I think it's...
I saw that. I saw that. But it's one directional. I mean, you can't turn the data back from there.
That's correct. That's correct.
Why,
So for the one direction, getting data off the machines and sending it to the cloud to do analytics, it's very useful. But if we're going to be trying to do adaptive control from the cloud, obviously we'll have to do something other than MT Connect. Yep.
So I have a question for Tom, because this has come up over the past, every 6 months or so we get inquiries on this, and you had some metrics in terms of performance improvements through digitalization. I think 4% for labor. I didn't write through all the numbers because there was quite a few of them, but one of the things that intrigued me, I think you said there was a 20% to 30% improvement in margin, EBIT. And so my question is, because this always comes to me and I don't have a good answer, what is the ROI that your group of end users expect on an investment? What type of payback period do they expect on these investments in digitalization? So.
Yeah, okay. It's like the deep water, I guess. So the numbers on the EBIT improvement, just to elaborate, so the way we did that is we looked at a value chain, and then we looked for specific use cases around it. So as an example, if we're trying to improve productivity, you would say I could apply smart automation, I could bring digital performance management to the operators. You basically laid out a laundry list of levers, and then we looked at an ecosystem of technology providers of various sizes, everything from like early stage startups to more established players, to look for impact stories. So it was basically a bottoms up like composition of the whole, with no assumption of synergy across them. That's how we got to the EBIT number. The ROI one is more complicated, I think. And so so that analysis is unbounded on the upfront technology investment, which I recognize. Mostly because we didn't have all the data to be able to do that. The answer on like the internal like ROI hurdles depends a lot on each individual company. And I think you see, or at least what I see in our partnership are different archetypes of companies. So if I take like if you just focus on large manufacturers to start with, there's kind of maybe 3 broad buckets they fall into. You have the ones that are just exploring, right? Like fingers on the pulse, trying to understand like what's happening in this technology space. I'm desperately afraid of like missing out, but I'm not necessarily fully committed yet. You have others that are driving their like digitalization efforts from, in my mind, like the middle, where it's more around like I have productivity goals I want to go meet. I want to go bring digital as a means to an end to achieve those productivity goals. And you have a more rarefied sort of set of companies where it is truly a like top-down like CEO priority. And the way they think about the ROI is very, very different in all those cases. So those that are thinking about it as a strategic imperative for the company, like we are going to transform or die, are more willing to do some of the upfront exploration. I also think they invest more thinking in how do I scale the solutions, and so they do much less around. It's not like I did a pilot, I proved I could go do something, but the solutions I provided or chose to assemble that pilot, can't take me from 5 machines to 10,000, which is a huge like learning I think for a lot of those manufacturers. So I'd be hard pressed to give you like a specific number. I know if you look at like the internal hurdle rates on like research, it'd be sort of in the 10 to 20 times, but that's not what's driving, I think, their internal invest criteria.
I don't feel so bad when people ask me now.
No, I mean, it's
I
like,
can't give a straight answer.
It is
either,
like, so these
it's-
things, so we actually are doing work on that in a couple of our areas where in particular, cybersecurity is one where it's incredibly fuzzy because there isn't a mature insurance market. They can't actually price out the risk because people don't report accurately. You don't have like wealth of data. So a lot of our work in this year is actually focused on what is the actual business case around cybersecurity as a first principle, because it's the first barrier to actually doing anything. So.
Okay. Any more questions, or? Well, I do have one more question for Nevzat, and that is, with regard to your back-end applications, which are associated with process planning, tool library knowledge, obviously, a lot of this data is collected from potentially individual. Right now, you're at proof of concept within your own factories. But when you actually launch this product and start to deploy it in different manufacturing sites, what is the, how do you, from a business perspective, how do you segregate process information from one manufacturer to another and ensure that you're not sharing proprietary secrets or intellectual property that companies may consider of their own?
What we are doing here is in the cloud environment, we have several different instances. One of the instances for each customer, and with the security, and we're securing on the edge side, and then we're securing the communication to, it's an encrypted communication. All the data signal is being packaged and then moved to the cloud, and then they are going to their own special instance of on the cloud side, which is unique for each customer. That's exactly what we have done for our each different production units. I said that 3 different production units and 3 different set of seeing that is one of this in Asia Pacific and in the US, and that we're doing some training and learning about how we can handle it. That means data is secure, and then based on that we can have aggregated analytics on the cloud side. That it means you combine all the 3 production units data together and doing some analytics, or you can use the one by one, and then each machine doing the machine learning analytics is more about this creating the new use cases. We're normally looking for the use cases because without use cases, machine learning worthless. You need to have the several use cases to bring this up, giving the more training to your so-called machine learning. More input, and then you have algorithms and output can be feed it back to any way you want to feed it back, either close to the machine on the factory level.
All right, well, thank you very much. Okay, so are there any more questions? Because we're just about out of time for this event. Well, then I want to thank our speakers very much for taking the time and the effort to travel here, as well as put together a presentation. And I certainly invite you all to speak to them offline if you have any questions that are more appropriate in a personal conversation. I think most of you will be here for another day, is that correct? Tom will be leaving tomorrow, right?
Late tonight, but then Amanda will be here the entire time.
Oh, Amanda, so there'll be someone else from DMDI here as well. So, but the other gentleman here will be here for the rest of the conference. So I thank you all for participating in this event, and